Hey everyone, so today I'm going to do a video on a self-made jig for rebuilding coils for vaping. I've been started smoking cigars again a little bit. My wife didn't like because of all the smell stuck to the clothes and all that. Let's face it, some nasty stuff that comes out of cigars. So I looked for an alternative and went out and bought this thing. It's a nice little unit, but there is some costs associated with it, and one is every so often the coils go down. So did some research on the internet on how to rebuild coils, and the old way to do it is to get a drill bit, a 3/32 drill bit. This is a little bit smaller, but you wrap the coil around it and so on and so forth. And it's kind of a pain because nothing's stuck to anything, and it's cumbersome and so on and so forth. So there are jigs you can buy out there that are relatively inexpensive, but I'm a do-it-yourself kind of guy, so I figured I'd build one. Went around my garage and my shop out here and found everything that I need. So it's going to cost me absolutely $0. And this video is going to show you how I'm doing it. So what I have here is a T-nut that's going to go in back of the jig, and then I've got a stainless steel bolt with got some knurled ends to it, so I get a grip to it. This will go into the back of the jig to hold down the canthal wire. I'll show you that a little bit later on there. So got some screw or some drill bits that I'm going to drill in the wood. I've got some spare red oak sitting around in my shop out here that I'm going to use to build it on, and so on and so forth. So I also found this little scrap of plywood out here that figured out that it's about the perfect shape of how I want to build it. So on the internet, a lot of the reviews on the jigs that they have say, hey, these things work great, but they're small. So I want to build mine a little bit bigger so it fits in the palm of your hand. I can get down on the wire and so on and so forth. So this is about the size I'm going to do. It's a piece of plywood though, as you can see the plywood there. I don't want to build it out of that. I got some piece of solid red oak that I'm going to build it out of. But this will be my template as far as the size goes. So follow me along and I'll show you how I'm building it. All right, so first things first, I measured this piece out, like I said before. It's going to fit into my hand, what I think is going to be comfortable. So I didn't measure any of this. I'm just putting something in my hand. Hey, does that feel good? Maybe out of the 1/4 inch or something. I didn't measure it. So I would highly recommend that you cut this piece of wood on the chop saw. I have a chop saw up in my garage. I just didn't go up and get it. So I'm going to use my table saw here. And anytime you're cross cutting a piece like this, there's always a chance of kickback as you're pushing this through. So and that kickback would occur if this was against my fence and I'm pushing this through it like that. Very good chance that could kick back, and we don't want that to happen. So for it to not be on the fence but to get my size, I've put this in here there up against my blade, and that's going to be perfect fit there. So with that, I'm going to put this over here. Then once I start my cut, or once I start this up, I got this sitting here. I'm just going to pull that out and then go ahead and push this across. So let's go ahead and cut this piece. Oh, before we cut, wear these. You have eyes, and you don't want anything to get into them, a piece of wood or a sliver or something like that. So always wear safety goggles. There you have it. There's my piece of red oak that I'm going to use. It should fit into the hand just like it felt with the plywood. So this will be perfect. All right, on to the next step here. So what I need to do next is drill a hole into the backside of this piece of red oak to put the T-nut into. You can see the barbs on this. I hope you can. At least the barbs on this will grab the wood and hold it. And what this is for is I'll be able to screw this bolt down into the T-nut, and it's when I get it all the way down into there, it's going to hold the wire. The wire is going to go around that there. So let's go ahead and drill this hole. We're going to need to get it nice and straight. I've already kind of checked for square against the drill bit. I wish I had a square. It's up in the garage. I should go get it. But again, I'm just kind of winging this here, there. So anyways, let's go ahead and get this drilled. There we go. What I didn't tell you before I started drilling is I already kind of measured the depth that I wanted. I'm going to wind up cutting a bit of the threads of this off. I don't need the entire thing to be down in there. So, but you guys can see, you know, again, I didn't measure anything, but it's fairly in the center. Not that it needed to be, but that's kind of what I was shooting for. So there you go. On to the next step. All right, now we're going to put the post, and again, this is the nail I found sitting around in the junk drawer, basically, and it happens to be 3/32 wide, so it's exactly what I was building my coils with earlier. So I need to put this down into the block here, but I'm using the drill press because I want it to be, you know, vertically straight up and down as much as possible. So I've already measured the depth of the drill. Let's go ahead and drill it. Alright, there you go. Got a nice little pilot hole to put this into. It should fit in there real nice. I might even put a little pox in there, but I have a feeling this is going to be good enough. So anyways, on to the next step. Alright, so I've kind of cut the base of this bolt off. If you remember, it was a lot bigger, or a lot longer I should say. You know, cut a bunch of it off so it'll fit down in there nicely. It's not going to bottom out. I've also eased over the edges of all the edges on this thing here. It's going to be in my hand. You know, last thing I want is some sharp edge or slivers or anything getting into me when I'm, you know, wrenching down on it. So that's what we've done there. Now it's time to put the T-nut in. And what I want to do is, you can see, you know, this is a lot longer this way than it is this way. So there's 4 barbs here. 1, 2, and then 3 and 4. I want to make sure that I've got an even distribution of those barbs so that they grab. And I'm just going to, you know, make sure that it's, you guys can see that those barbs are there, right there, 1 and 2, and then it's the same on the other side. So we'll just put it like that. I got this thing on my welding table, so it should be fairly solid. I'm just going to gently pound this thing in. Okay, we'll call that good. You know, then this thing's gonna screw in here like so, and those knurled sides are gonna make it really good for me to tighten that thing down. But the canthal will go on that, and then I'm gonna now put this nail in here. I didn't really measure how deep this is gonna go. I probably should. You know, we're looking right about there, about a knuckles depth left on my pointer finger. So I'm glad that I pre-drilled this, so it's going to go in nice and straight, and then when we get done I'll lop off the top of this thing here. So that's going in there nice and straight. You can see again my inaccurate measurements. A little bit further. That's pretty close. I'd rather be a little short. That thing's in there real good too. So now you guys can see that I've got this nail head on here, right? I don't know if you can see that. Put my finger there. Probably can see it a lot better now. So I got to cut that off, and got my handy dandy bolt cutters here. So we'll just lop that sucker off. Like so. Bingo. And there you have it. So that is the completed jig. I'll be able to put some Canthol in here, bring it up here. I'm probably going to sand that down just a little bit more, but come around, wrap that there. I'll get a nice tight wrap on it, and then I'll be able to make all of my coils that way. So pretty good for $0, right? I had all this stuff sitting around, just a simple nail, T-nut, a bolt, some oak, some red oak sitting around, cut it up. So hopefully you guys learned something. It's real simple. Let's hope somebody makes one of these. All right, thanks.